Hey, what's up friends? Reddit here, and I want to talk today a little bit about the preliminary designs on this Bartop arcade cabinet I'm building. So, when I was looking to do this, I first started, you can find these on Instructables, I forget the guy's name, but he made this handy dandy little full-sized cutout here. So you print it out, paste it together, and then you can kind of draw it and see how your stuff's supposed to be. But he did this so that you can get this little curve and stuff, right? The problem is, sorry, stepping on stuff. This area here, if you look at my monitor, and pan down a little bit, you can see, kind of, here's the top, and then the bottom would be way down here. So you can see there's not enough room there. Kind of see it. It comes down to about here. So that's not big enough. And then up here, this is only about 3.5 or 4 inches. And Dig Dug, the marquee I have is about 6.5 inches. So I had to do something to expand this a little bit. So what I did is he also gave you this little sheet here to kind of tell you the angles and everything. So I used this and measured off of this deal to kind of get these lengths to get me an idea of how big they were. And then I used fancy trigonometry / geometry to come up with a design that would hopefully fit my cabinet or my requirements, which would be, this would be 14.75 instead of 13 7/8 plus or minus, and this would be about 7.5 to fit the 6.5 marquee versus 4 5/16 all the way to the top. So once you take off the things on either side, it's 3 inches or so. So that was it that I needed to deal with. So the problem is you have all these angles going everywhere, and in order to get things to fit upright, you gotta make all these angles work. On top of that is how thick you want these boards. And I think he used 1/2 inch on here, and I wanted to use 3/4 inch just cause. So I ran into a couple problems, but I used what I came up with here to build. Oh, it's stuck to the floor. How unprofessional. This. And hopefully we can back it up enough to where you can see it. Sorry about the wobbly. We are high class here. Okay, so now this I cut out the same size as that Dig Dug thing. And this should fit my monitor here more or less perfectly because I, traced it on there. So this is kind of how big it needs to be, but as you can see, I messed up right here. This doesn't really work. It doesn't quite fit. And that I think is due to the fact that I screwed up the 3/4 inches thick boards, because this obviously is more or less not thick at all versus the 3/4. So I don't know if this is going to work, but it does give you a good idea of what I want it to kind of look like. And then it's got, bottom and back and all the crap stuff to it, because the tape's not doing great. I just used some boxes from a bunch of Lego basically. So they sent me in these flat rate boxes and I cut them apart and made this. It gave me a good idea though of what I wanted to do and what not to do. So if this is how wide the marquee is going to be, you can obviously make it as wide as you want, because I don't remember how exactly wide the guy's thing was on his template here, but it was not this wide because they didn't use the widescreen monitors or the full arcade marquee. They used kind of a 4x3 letterbox monitor, which I don't know. You don't need a widescreen, but why not, right? So I decided to make it centered, obviously, up and down, and then I think the angles will work. I kind of like it the way it's situated. If I set it up, I can see it. This isn't blocking my view. The buttons are in good shape. It's wide enough to where 2 of us can stand here. So that's great. Another thing I wanted to do was I wanted the speakers to be up here so that it actually sounds like it's coming out of the screen. Some of them you'll see they'll put them on the sides or down here somewhere. I don't want it. These are unshielded speakers, the cheap Chinese knockoffs. So they don't, they have the potential to mess up your electronics if you're not careful. But this upside here is only 2 7/8 inches. And then if you pull out the speaker grills, they are about 4 something inches. So you can see it really is not big enough. So now that I know all this, I think I'm gonna go pick up a program called SketchUp, which I think is what he made all this stuff on and all this on to begin with. It's free from Google, at least the non-upgraded version or whatever is free. And make this in there. Now I've done AutoCAD in high school and college a little bit, so hopefully it'll translate well to this and get us a good representation of what we actually need to do. Not this wonky half-ass stuff that may or may not work out because it's flat and but it gives you a good idea of what you need to do. So the next step I think will be building this in the SketchUp and we'll go from there. So let me know, did you build something like this or do you think this is a good idea? Kind of, gave me an idea, some flaws, some things I wanted to do differently. The looks, obviously I wouldn't have noticed the speaker thing until I built it. It didn't even occur to me. So, let me know what you think. Keep it real. Post some questions. Thanks for watching.